President Joe Biden spoke about the steps he wants to take to tackle the problem of inflation. KTVU's Ali Rasmus was monitoring the president's speech today. She's here with an update on the measures he's outlining to help with the rising cost of food, energy, and housing. Ali?
Well, Garcia, part of the challenge here is that there isn't a whole lot President Biden, or any president for that matter, can do to stop inflation. But when the cost of goods and services become a big problem for Americans, presidents and other elected leaders do get blamed for it.
A recent CNN poll found that 8 out of 10 voters say inflation is their biggest concern right now and that the president isn't doing enough to fix it.
They're frustrated, and I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. I want every American to know that I'm taking inflation very seriously, and it's my top domestic priority.
Some of the things President Biden says he's doing and wants to do include releasing 1 million barrels of oil per day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve for the next 6 months to try and lower oil and gas prices. That step is already underway. But Mr. Biden says he also wants to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices and cap insulin costs. He advocated for another $1 billion in COVID-19 relief funds for small businesses and agricultural workers. Those last two items on the list are things that Congress, though, is not likely to approve.
The vast majority of the economists think that this is going to be a real tough problem to solve.
Jim Wilcox agrees. He's an economics professor with the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. He says there's no doubt the pandemic, the government's response to it, and the war in Ukraine are the main drivers of inflation.
There's been very strong demand in the economy, much more demand than there has been our ability to supply goods and services in the economy. And of course, as a consequence, the inflation rate has risen to the levels we now see.
Consumer prices are 8.5% higher now than 1 year ago. Most economists agree it's really up to the Federal Reserve to put the brakes on spending with interest rate hikes, a process the Fed's already begun.
Inflation generally tends to be slow to start and slow to stop. It will not be a problem that is gone by Christmas time.
And that is a big concern for the president and congressional Democrats as we head into this year's midterm elections. Now, tomorrow, the Consumer Price Index will release new inflation numbers for the month of April. The inflation rate is expected to go up again, though not as much as it did back in March. Garcia and Andre, back to you.
Ali Rasmus, thank you. Let's turn